Welcome to this special edition of the Scooby Panel. I'm your host, Nikki Blake, and I'm joined by Wendy Brydge and Cameron Bates. Today, we'll be talking about the special that aired last night on the CW called Scooby-Doo, Where Are You Now? So the first thing we're going to talk about is the things that we liked about the special. And the things that I liked were the interviews that they did with Mitch Watson, Tony Cervoni, Frank Welker. And I also liked the flashback scenes that they did for Where Are You? They did the flashback with the villains. The actual art that they used, I liked. I thought it was really cool that they implemented that. And bringing in the voice actors at the end was pretty cool. So Wendy, what were the things that you liked about the special?
My favorite part was when the end credits rolled and I knew it was over. Just put that out there. That was my favorite part of the special. I did appreciate that there were some interviews with some interesting people talking about the series, you know, the original series and Scooby just as a whole over 52 years. I definitely liked any time that they showed clips from any of the original series. They had like a bit of a montage of unmaskings at the end that I really thought was well done, and I enjoyed seeing that. And I love that they pulled from a variety of Scooby series, you know, not just the original and not just the modern. Like they kind of gave it a nice overview. That was pretty much it. Short and sweet for me. That was it.
Cameron, what about you?
I like the art styles. I like how they brought back the "Where Are You," vibes to their characters. I thought that was really cool. I love seeing all the different Hanna-Barbera cartoons running around the lot with them, like Jabberjaw, Captain Caveman. I thought that was pretty cool. And to kind of agree with y'all, I loved seeing the interviews. I love seeing kind of the early pictures of the Hanna-Barbera studios and hearing, like, I think it was from Joseph Barbera we heard from, and that, like I said, that was pretty cool. The maskings were cool, and like I said, there were some really cool parts in there that I enjoyed.
So they showed some supposed concept art, and we know that there were the two images that they showed of the gang where they said this was what was presented and they immediately loved it. We know that those are definitely concept art pieces. But the rest of it, was it actual concept art? Like the gang as a band, was that actually really concept art? Cameron, what are your thoughts on that?
I don't think it was concept art. I think it was kind of just taken as an idea and kind of drawn upon. You know what I mean? Because originally, Scooby-Doo, Where Are You was supposed to be called Mysteries 5, and so we know that, and we know that they were supposed to look different, but through the grapevine, have we heard that they were supposed to be musicians? And back in the 70s, Hanna-Barbera did that with a lot of cartoons. But I felt like the art they showed last night on the reunion special, I felt like that was kind of drawn upon. A lot of the art that they showed for like screen title cards and stuff like that, it was kind of newer images that from 2020, 2021. So no, I don't think it was original art. I think it was kind of drawn upon for the special.
Wendy, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think a lot of it was, I mean, I guess technically we could still call it concept art, but I think it's like a newly conceptualized art based on that we know or have heard in the past. Some of it looked really cool, the one where they had them done up like a band. It did look really, really neat. It's fun to do mashups and things like that. But yeah, I definitely agree. I don't think that was original concept art, in the same way that they showed like a little storyboard panel of how Scooby was supposedly originally meant to look is different than anything I've ever seen. So was it actually something that they dug out of the archives, or did they just make it up as part of their fun story? I kind of think it's the latter. But I can't swear to it. Obviously, I wasn't there, but I had never seen or even heard of Scooby ever looking the way that he did in what they showed last night. And they definitely tried to play it off as concept art. I think it was meant to be believable, but it was new to me. So I think a lot of it was just them putting together their own ideas of concept art and sharing it like that.
They even had Scooby spelled differently underneath that little sheepdog picture. So almost every panel that they had it spelled differently. So I thought that was kind of odd too. So we're going to get into the things that didn't make any sense. One of the things that I just want to stress is that Warner Brothers and the CW had 52 years worth of material to use for this special, and yet they made things up. So one of the things that like really annoyed me were the things that they were making up about the gang. Like, Scooby's a nudist. What? Scooby's a dog. First of all, usually dogs don't wear clothes, but now we're calling him a nudist. So weird. And then you have that they brought up that he has a litter of puppies that he never knew about. I mean, what were they thinking? What were they thinking? Wendy, what are your thoughts on the stuff that they brought up about Scooby in particular?
Yeah, that illegitimate puppies business. It's just inappropriate. Okay, I'm not a prude. I enjoy innuendo and dirty jokes just as much as the next person does. Okay, I really do. But there are some lines that just don't need to be crossed. Anyone who watches our panels knows that we all appreciate that Scooby is a wholesome show made for children. Okay? We don't need to sex it up or dirty it up for adults to enjoy it. It is perfect the way it is. None of that stuff was necessary. And to be perfectly honest, it was disrespectful to 52 years of fans, creators, everyone that was ever involved in that series who worked their butts off to keep it wholesome and something that would just be wonderful and enjoyed for a long time. And they succeeded, you know, they succeeded. 52 years later, we are talking about it. And it is a real shame that anyone would think it appropriate to take something like that, a property, and be like, you know what? Screw everything that came before it. We're going to remake it in our own image, and here you go. That is disrespectful. That's not, you know, I also really did not appreciate how they kind of left everyone with the impression that Warner Brothers created Scooby. You know, here's where it all started. The Warner Brothers Studios. Excuse me, Warner Brothers. No, that is not accurate. It's just not true. Hanna-Barbera created Scooby. Hanna-Barbera is the one and only reason that we're still talking about Scooby-Doo, because I guarantee you that if Scooby was something that was created within the last 20 years by Warner Brothers, in another 50 years from now, we would not be talking about it. It would not have multiple series. It would not have such a huge following. We would not still be seeing new merchandise from it, because no one would care, because it wouldn't be very good. Because all of the things that WB seems bound and determined to change about Scooby are the things that gave it its longevity. And there's a real trend today that people don't believe that kind of a thing, but I'm sorry, you're wrong. That is why things last, because there's nothing offensive about them. They are just good, wholesome, clean, fun, and that's it. So that was my biggest thing. Daphne dating Captain Caveman because she likes hairy men. I like them hairy. Again, why? Okay, that someone please tell me why. I would like to know why. Is there something wrong with that in and of itself? Of course not, but it's Daphne. You know, at first I was like relieved that they weren't pushing like the Fred Daphne thing, but this was kind of worse. It was kind of worse, and it had nothing to do with anything. I mean, if you're going to give a character some kind of like backstory, like, you could do better than talking about her taste in hairy men. especially again, given that perpetually teenagers, she's like 16 years old. Should we really be listening to a 16-year-old girl talking about her taste in men? You know what I mean? It's not necessary. So those are the things that irked me the most.
Cameron, what about you?
You know, I just gotta say this, I enjoyed seeing Scooby-Doo on TV. You know, I gotta say that, you know, to actually see Scooby-Doo on a big network, I think was wonderful. But there were some things that didn't make sense to me. And I'm gonna I got a couple. One of them was the hate for Scrappy. I did not understand the hate for Scrappy, especially right off the bat. It was just like, okay, guys, welcome to the reunion. Let's go ahead and dress the big elephant, Scrappy. And then they just destroyed Scrappy. And I'm thinking to myself, really? Wow. Did not appreciate that. I didn't appreciate the sexual innuendo jokes throughout the whole thing. You know, there was Velma when she went to go, you know, get a new wardrobe, which I'm thinking to myself, she does not need to change. She looks beautiful the way she is. And then, you know, it was something about the 69 thing. And I'm thinking to myself, if kids are watching this, really, and especially with the whole, like you said, Wendy, you know, Daphne and with hairy men, I mean, I didn't appreciate that. You know, some other things I didn't understand was, and spoiler warning for anybody watching, but I did not understand the whole mechanic thing. And them changing that up, you know, the lady who was supposed to be the mechanic, and she was so angry with the Mystery Inc. gang, and you know, the snow ghost running around. I mean, I didn't understand it. I really didn't. And another thing that kind of irked me a little bit, not gonna lie, was, to me, it was like they were dumbing down the Scooby-Doo gang. And what I mean by that is that when you watch, when they're laughing in the reunion, you know, they're all laughing together. And then it's like the actual person that's interviewing them, or the director or whoever, is just looking at them like they're stupid. And I did not appreciate that, because, and from the original Scooby-Doo, Where Are You? In the Scooby-Doo show, they are, for their age, for being 16 years old, or, you know, 17, 18, however old they are some of the most mature and smartest teenagers in cartoon, and they're very mature and respected. And to me, it was like they were being dumbed down. Another thing, and this will be it for me, was I didn't understand Velma being so. It was like she complained about. Yes. So she complained about everything during the reunion. I mean, she was sitting there. She was like, not to hear about, you know, Scooby's children, which I didn't appreciate the Scooby's children thing. But she was like, just anything not to hear about Scooby's children. Or she walked around, I can't stand what I'm wearing. Or she would, I mean, she was just complaining the whole time. I'm thinking to myself, this should be a reunion of 52 years of magic. You know what I mean? This should be 52 years of interviews, you know, voices, and you know, I mean, I mean, I'm going to be quiet now, because those are my pet peeves. But yeah, I mean, there was things that I felt that should not have been in there. So.
Well, you know, they also added some stuff like Shaggy being a martial artist, and he had this martial arts coach. And
I felt, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's right, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, I felt like it was trying to go in more of the direction of the humor. You know what I mean? I felt like they were just trying to get a laugh out of everybody. Like, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
And then, you know, the spit bucket thing, because they didn't want Scooby to get fat, so he had to spit his Scooby snacks into a bucket. I mean, yeah, right? Cool like now we're saying that Scooby's bulimic. I mean, exactly. That's not good. You know, yeah. And that he needed a voice coach because he talked too well for a dog, and he needed to learn how not to talk well. Mm-hmm. I mean, why couldn't they have brought up the fact that they used a child psychologist to basically kind of help them create Scooby's character? That would have been better than this voice coach.
Yeah.
And then the fact that everyone that they brought into it was nowhere near 52 years old, let alone able to have been in like the first episode of Scooby-Doo. So that didn't make any sense either. You know, Sherry O'Terry, who was Laszlo the mechanic, was born in 1962. She would have been 7 when the first episode aired. So that makes no sense. And then Johnny Quest, I mean, come on, like he's begging the audience for help because he feels like his father is going to have him killed.
Just not cool.
No.
And did you hear what he said? He whispered at the end. He's like, "Help me!" And I'm thinking to myself, "Okay, some people can laugh about that, but there's actually kids out there that are being. I'm not even going to go down that rabbit hole. But all I'm saying is that I mean, some people can get triggered or have post-traumatic stuff from this. I'm just saying, you know what I mean? Like and the voice. I'm sorry, I gotta say this real quick. The voices for the Hanna-Barbera cartoons, like Speed Buggy, Johnny Quest, like they sounded nothing like the characters.
Yeah.
So, that was crazy.
You know, there are people that truly need help that, you know, I'm sorry, but it's not a joke. And they turned it into a joke. It's not right. There are seriously people in this world that are going through things that they need help.
Yeah.
It's not funny.
No, it's definitely one of those, like that was like a big one where I was like, what are you doing? Because I mean, I get it. Things like stand-up comedy where nothing is sacred and you can just make fun of whatever you want. Okay. Scooby-Doo and network TV are not that. There are lines that you don't cross. There are themes and topics that are not meant to be turned into jokes. It's not funny in any way, shape, or form. You can't make it funny. I would be saying this if we weren't talking about Scooby-Doo. You know what I mean? This is apart from the characters that they were using. Just that idea that they would portray a little boy like that.
Right. I agree.
Is not appropriate for anything, for a kid's show or for an adult show, because it's not funny and you don't make jokes about that stuff.
Yeah, I really thought that was definitely inappropriate for them to do. When I saw it, because I watched it twice, when I saw it the first time, I was just like, my jaw dropped. I couldn't believe that they did that just to portray his character like that even. Yeah. I mean, Johnny Quest is not like some little kid that needs help all the time, you know? And then I believe in the flashbacks, they didn't use Casey Kasem's voice. Didn't they use Matthew Lillard's? They like overdubbed or whatever to use Matthew Lillard's voice instead of Casey Kasem.
It could be. I'm not quite sure.
And when they did, you know, they had like their original auditions. You know, why couldn't they use the voices? Why couldn't they just take pieces from the original series and use that as their audition, so to speak? You know, like, why did we have to create this weirdness? You know, the whole thing was just so odd.
You know, and here's another thing too, is it was aired on the CW. And I'm not talking trash about CW, but the CW does not go by the rules of what they have. They like to make up their own rules and they like to go in their own direction. Take, for example, Riverdale. I'm just saying, for example, it's supposed to be about Betty, Jughead, you know, Archie and Veronica. And it is, but it is nothing. And Wendy can back me up on this. It is nothing like the comics. It is not. It is completely their own show, and they throw whatever they want in there, and it's like they make it part of the story. So I felt like when Warner Brothers said, "Hey, we want to host this on CW," the CW just said, "Okay, let's do it," and the CW just took it the way they wanted to. Because I'm with y'all. When they started to do the auditions last night on the thing, I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is going to be where they show the actual clips of like Casey Kasem trying out, you know, and Fred, you know what I mean." So this is gonna be cool. And then they did like this you know, Fred dressed like a hippie, and you know, and Daphne, you know, she was, "Hi Scooby," and I mean with this awful voice, and I was like, what are we doing here? Like, and I just started getting confused. So
the other thing that really, particularly for me, irked me really hard, almost as much as the Johnny Quest thing, was Daphne, when they were brought up Gilmore Girls, and Daphne being like, well, I can't understand how a mother and daughter could have a good relationship. And, you know, that is so disrespectful. Okay, I don't care if there are people in this world that don't have good relationships with their mothers, because there are plenty who do. And guess what? There are some of us who don't have our mothers anymore and who loved them very, very much and got along with them. And that is just disrespectful. Daphne would never, ever, ever say something like that. None of the Scooby Gang would ever take that attitude. And it was gross. It was gross, WB. If you're watching, that was not cool. It was not cool at all. That was disrespectful to real people. That was disrespectful to those characters. And to even suggest that that kind of an idea is just normal and you're promoting it, like, oh yeah, it's normal if you don't get along with your daughter. It's normal if you don't get along with your mother. No, that's not normal. I'm sorry. That's not normal. Even if it's the majority of people, it's not normal. Okay, parents love their children. Children love their parents. You can disagree on things and still get along. And if you are not putting in the effort to do that, something's wrong with you. That's not normal. Don't be like that. And we should not be promoting that idea as just what it is. Not
Right.
really. That really irked me.
I do feel like they kind of promoted a lot of ideas that were just not right.
Yeah.
And you know, the people that they brought in, Janelle Parrish as the host, I don't even know who she is. She has nothing to do with Scooby-Doo. Why would they not have brought in somebody that has something to do with Scooby-Doo? Let Scott Innes host it. You know,
Yeah.
he would be great because he's part of the franchise. He knows Scooby-Doo. How cool would it be to have cartoon Scott Innes interviewing the gang? You know?
Be really
But
cool.
I just don't understand why they chose to bring in the people that they brought in that have nothing to do with Scooby-Doo.
I have one thing to say real quick. And also too, you know, a lot of people I heard, because last night after I watched it, a lot of people messaged me saying they liked it, they didn't like it, they hated it, they loved it. You know, they're giving me their thoughts. But one person brought up one thing and it made me think for a second. It wasn't really the voice actors that went along with this. I mean, yes, hear me out. The voice actors are, you know, they're given their script sheets, what to say and how to say it. But I honestly don't think that Gray, Frank, Matthew, and Kate wanted to say those things, because when they do the Scooby-Doo movies and the Scooby-Doo series, it's clean. I mean, so far of what they've done with Guess Who and in the direct-to-TV movies they've done, I think they've done a really good job. Truly, I have. But I don't think it was them. I think it was, to be honest with y'all, I honestly, I think it was CW pulling the strings on all this. I think it was CW saying, this is what you're going to say. These are the jokes you're going to make. Because we all know that the CW makes adult jokes and they have a lot of adult situations. And to me, they could have left out all these adult jokes, situations, and inappropriate stuff that they did last night on Scooby-Doo. They could have saved it for anything else in the world, but they had to put it in the Scooby-Doo thing. So I just want to say, I don't think it was the voice actors. I do feel for the voice actors. I truly do. Because they can't really say, hey, we don't want to say this. This is not what Daphne, you know, Daphne's not going to say this stuff. You know, I mean, I love Grey DeLisle, but, you know, I mean, that's her job. And, her, you know, I mean, if she doesn't go through with it, I mean, you know, then, you know, there's a potential that she could be fired. You know what I mean? So I'm just saying, I feel for these voice actors. I mean, I feel like they have to do this. They have to say these things. So I just want to put that out there. I don't think it's voice actors having to do this. I think it's CW pulling the strings on it.
Well, we also have to remember that Warner Brothers had a big part in this too. It wasn't just the CW, you know, they and really, like, let's talk about what this was actually about. You know, the whole point of this, from my perspective, was that it was just a commercial so that Warner Brothers could say, hey, we're doing studio tours again, come and you know, check out our tour. Look, the Scooby characters are going around the studio. They're showing you different parts of the, you know, what you're going to see on the tour. But if you come, you can see it all. You know, it was just a giant commercial. And then they added in that Bungalow 15 movie stuff. This was just their way of using the gang to get people interested in what they're doing. That's all this was. And Wendy, like you said, they basically took credit for it all starting on their studio.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, it was, and that moment where Fred's talking about how they're going to capture the ghost, and he makes a point of saying, you know, well, down by the iconic Warner Brothers water tower. Not that there was something wrong with him saying that, but that just added to the, like, you were just promoting yourself using a well-loved franchise. Like, WB is just promoting itself, the whole thing, because the whole thing was just like, why did you even make this? Because it has nothing to do with Scooby. You've basically torn down everything that has come before as far as like the Scooby characters and the Scooby franchise, and you've made a mockery of it. Everything was a joke, including themselves, the gang and Scooby. It was all just a big joke. And it just like endlessly promoting all of the other things that Warner Brothers does. So essentially they whored out Scooby last night.
Yeah.
They treated him like he was a whore, you know, there to do their job of bringing people in for other things. And again, that's just, there's nothing wrong with using one character to help promote something else. That is not inherently bad, but you can do it tastefully. If you have to compromise the character's character in order to do that, like, ask yourself, what is going on in my mind that I think that that's what I should do? That I want to take this thing that is this, and I don't like that anymore. So I'll do everything that I can to make it into this over here that's more edgy and this and that. Like, why? This is popular because it is what it is. If you change it, it's not going to have the same impact. Now, unfortunately, as fans, we're probably going to watch anything that has the Scooby name attached to it, and they know that it has been around long enough that they can do these things and get away with it, because we're not going to boycott Scooby because somebody made a crappy reunion special. We're just not, you know? So they can get away with doing their little things, but still doesn't make it cool. It doesn't make it okay. And to me, it was a terrible special. I was beyond disappointed with it. I was happy when it ended. I really was, because I cringed through the entire thing. And again, it's got nothing to do with being a prude or not liking change or anything like that. It is that, what was the point of doing that? There was no point involving Scooby. It was not about Scooby at all. And that really sucked, because I think that we all tuned in thinking, wow, let's appreciate our favorite cartoon character for 42 minutes. And instead we got, no, your cartoon character is crap. We're going to tell you all the reasons that it is and make it even worse. Okay. Well, not for me. I'm going to take a pass on that. Hard pass, you know, just not. No.
Yeah, I mean, again, they had 52 years of material that they could have used. I mean, they made stuff up. They just made stuff and brought in people that made no sense. You know, they took the characters and they just made them a mess. And
What
as a fan, it was really, really disappointing. You know, especially when we're giving them so much information as to what we want to see. You know, not just us, but the entire Scooby community is giving them, I mean, we're telling them what we want. We can't get any clearer than we are. And they basically took everything that everyone has said and did the exact opposite. They gave us crap.
One thing I didn't understand was why they picked the 52nd anniversary of Scooby-Doo. Why 52 years to do this reunion? I guess is what I'm, you know, is there something relevant to 52? You know, like, why didn't we do it when he was 50? Or why not wait till he's, you know, 55? And so I guess that's one thing I really didn't understand, why pick 52 to do such a, you know, a reunion. Because, you know, when we hear reunion, we're thinking, oh, this is going to be huge. Kind of like when, you know, for example, when Friends did that big reunion. I mean, that was a big, giant deal. You know, so when we hear, oh, a Scooby-Doo reunion, that's awesome. Just didn't understand why it was 52. You know, another thing that I guess that really didn't make sense to me was, you know, why they didn't throw things in there about the Scooby community. And people can say, oh, Cameron, y'all just want to get publicity, or y'all just want to get your name. I don't even care if they didn't never say anything about me, or honestly, I didn't want, that's not what I'm saying. But, you know, to me, it's like, as a Scooby community, I love how tight we are. I love how engaging we are with the Scooby-Doo franchise. But it's like Warner Brothers doesn't even see us. It's like we are put on the back burner. And I'm going to say this right now. It's like Looney Tunes. It's like if you go over and look at the Looney Tunes, like community and fan base and stuff like that, it's like Warner Brothers, and their like main account interacts with them. They do stuff with them. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, is something wrong with our community? Because we never get interacted with the main Warner Brother franchise. We never get, you know, and I'm thinking to myself, if you would ask our community what you would like to see in there, because we're very knowledgeable. I mean, we really are. From all the accounts we have, I mean, from the anniversaries we post to all the history that we post to, you know what I mean? We're very knowledgeable. So that's one thing I guess I don't understand too. I mean, it's like, why are we put on the back burner? You know what I mean? And of course, I know they know that we exist, because, you know, people that have had their hands dipped in it, I mean, they have seen our posts, they have liked our post, they have retweeted our post, they have, you know what I mean? Like, they have been engaging a little bit with us, and they've seen it. So why have they not brought us up? Or why have they not, you know, at least said, Scooby, you're really famous? You know, really? Why? You know, how? You know, and then, oh, on the Scooby community, you're all over social media. You know, I'm like, why can't we bring that up? You know,
I think based on this special, we learned that Scooby-Doo is not important to Warner Brothers, because if it was, they would have done this so much better.
Yeah. I would like to pose a thought here, and people watching can be like, you're insane, and that's fine. That's totally fine. This is my opinion. But when that special ended last night, I had only one very distinct thought, and that was that Warner Brothers is very much aware of us. Very much aware of what we don't like that they do, and very much aware of the things that we would enjoy. And in my opinion, last night's reunion special was 100% meant to be a big FU to the rest of us. That is my opinion. I thought about it all night long. I thought about it all morning, thinking, surely you're overreacting. You know, it's just a coincidence. All these things that were mentioned, one or two things is a coincidence. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 things, 40 minutes worth of FUs to things that we have specifically discussed in detail. Cam, there was one person who described the gang almost verbatim to how you have described them on the panel. And before you had described them that way, I had never personally heard it said like that. So I think that Warner Brothers does see a lot of what goes on in this community. And to me, in addition to being an advertisement for their other properties last night, I think that the real purpose of the reunion special was Warner Brothers exerting their power to say, we don't care what you want. We're going to do what we want because we hold all the cards. And if you don't like it, tough. And again, people can be like, oh, you're reading too much into that. And maybe I am, but I don't think so. We have been very surprised in the past by who has seen some of our panels, people involved in Scooby-Doo that we never would have imagined would ever see some YouTube show, you know? Yeah. And yeah, Warner Brothers, we got your message last night. But the thing is, you might hold some of the cards, but you can make your money, you can have your power trip, you can change things that we love. But there are 50 plus years of Scooby, and you will never change how fans like us feel about our character. We are never going to come around to your way of thinking. We are never going to applaud you for taking something wholesome and make it filthy. It's never going to happen. Because I know I can speak for the three of us. When we're 80, 90 years old, we're still going to be loving the same things about Scooby that we do now, that we did when we were 5, that made Scooby what he is. Scooby-Doo will forever be a Hanna-Barbera product, creation, and beloved character. And
Amen.
you can throw all of your money wherever you want, you know, whatever you want. You do you, because we're still going to do us. And we love Scooby for who he is. You are not going to change him in our minds and hearts, no matter how hard you try. And you want to give us a big F you? This is just me. This is not Nikki and Cam. Me. I am giving it right back to you. F you. What you're trying to do. That's me. That is just me. No one else. I'm not speaking for anyone else with that. That is 100% me. Wendy loves Jesus. That's it. Do not blame anybody else for what I said. That is me. You will never, never, no matter how much money you throw around and how much power you have, you will never succeed. Scooby is what Scooby is. He is what Joe and William made him, and all of those people who worked their butts off to give us something wonderful. You will not destroy it. There is too much that came before you because you did not originate that character, and you will never be the blueprint or the standard for him. So do what you want. We're going to do what we want. And that is love our wholesome, wonderful Scooby gang who are mature, who don't nitpick each other, who don't whine and bellyache. You do you, and we'll do us.
I love that, Wendy. Very well said. And I totally agree. And on that note, we are going to wrap this up. So thank you all for joining us for another special edition of the Scooby panel. And be sure to catch the Scooby panel on November 20th, where we'll be discussing this in a little bit more detail and talking about the things that we would have done to change the special to make it better. So thank you.